Hey, this is Mo Lunsford at Union Grove Lumber Studios.
And this is the Shed Geek. We want to welcome you to today's episode.
Hey, welcome back. This is Susan the Shed Gal. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Shed Geek podcast. Today I'm in Washington State where it's cold here. I am with Mark and Shauna Dreyer. Mark and Shauna are the owners of Monroe Shed Depot. And welcome.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
I am excited to have you on. So, Shauna, I went to school with your brother. Mm-hmm. So our families knew each other from way, way, way back. Yes. And then, Mark, I met you a few years ago when I came out and saw your operation. I'm excited to be here. I know you've moved to a new location, but we're just going to talk about your story.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay. So glad you're here.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad you're here. So let's go way back. What year did you start your business?
Officially or unofficially?
You can go unofficially.
September of 2008, we built our first shed.
Okay. And did you do that because someone hired you to do it, or did you build it for yourself? How did this come about?
Well, it actually was, we were going to go build our own shed, and I wanted a little cedar shed, and so I went down to Lowe's to buy a kit.
Oh, yes. That was my first stop as a customer, too.
And,
true story.
Figured out that I didn't really like the way they were built. Person with my skill set anyway. And so we went inside and kind of priced out all the lumber and material. And I thought, okay, well, they're priced based on what it's going to cost me for the material. There's a little bit of margin here.
Ah.
So we didn't wind up buying the kit. I didn't even buy the material. I found a picture of a cedar shed online, and I posted a Craigslist ad. And lo and behold, a couple days later, some guy calls me up and says,
oh, my goodness.
Can you build me this shed? And I said, yeah. And he goes, can you make it 8 by 10? I said, sure. He said, how much? I gave him a price. He said, okay. I said, but I'm going to need you to send me a deposit. So he mailed me a check for $400. I'd never met the man. Never.
And you were on to something, weren't you?
So
wow.
we built that shed and spent a few days, actually spent 4 days in my buddy's shop. And we built what we thought was pretty, far along, pretty
advanced.
Advanced,
okay.
That's a great word. Advanced state of build. Told Shauna that we'll be back by lunch. 13 hours later, we came rolling back in with our tail between our legs and got the shed built. Customer was happy. He even looked at me at the end. He goes, "You're not charging enough." And
the customer said that.
Yeah, he was funny. And so we got back, and Shauna actually told me at that point. She said, "I think maybe you should go back in the car business because that's where I had come from."
Oh,
2008 is when the car business collapsed.
Oh, yes.
The economy collapsed.
Yes.
I was
yep. There you go.
a sales manager at a car dealership, and that's just the way they work. First one's fired are the guys making the most money, and so I told her, I said, I think we can figure it out. I think we can make it better. I think we can make a little more money on the next one.
Right.
So we
learn as you go.
Yeah, so we took a picture of that one. We put that picture online, and another customer called, and we built another shed, and it got a little bit faster. And then Shauna's mom said to me, she goes, I want my own shed. And I said, okay.
Now that's pressure. Mother-in-law wants a shed.
So I built her what I thought was a really cute little shed to house their pool equipment in their backyard, and took a picture of that one and put that picture on Craigslist, and the phone started ringing, and it never stopped.
That is so cool.
We still basically build that particular style. It's just our little 8x6. It's got a window in the front and a little door. We've built hundreds, if not thousands, of that version. But that's where it started. And then 2009, it just kind of was a steady thing, and we were building that and doing some other stuff. And then by the end of 2009, I figured out that I was working full time.
You had worked yourself right into a new business, hadn't you?
Right into a new business. So at the beginning of 2010, we made it official, and we opened the doors to Monroe Shed Depot. I don't even think we had a name for the first couple of years.
I don't know.
Till then. So we opened our doors as Monroe Shed Depot. And of course, we were in Monroe, so that made sense. Doesn't make nearly as much sense now that we're in Sultan, but
That's right.
But people know our name now, so I'm not changing.
Yeah, no, don't change the name.
And then we just started building sheds, and so we, move forward from there.
That's fantastic. A lot of the episodes on the Shed Geek podcast are portable building related, and I wanted to talk to you guys because it's different. Everything you do is on-site build. Is that correct, or are you doing anything portable these days?
No, we really don't do anything portable.
Yeah.
I delivered one to a coffee stand the other day, and it was my one of my example sheds or my demo sheds. And we literally had 4 of us had to shove it off the back of the trailer and then move it into place. And so it's not something we do. We build very advanced kits. We build ourselves a kit, and I hate to use that word because they're not kits. But we build ourselves a very advanced state of build. It goes onto the trailer, and then it comes off the trailer in pieces, and it's assembled on site. So
I love that.
Our on-site time is very short. Our average shed probably takes 3 to 4 hours.
So you're saying there's been some improvement since 08 in the 13 or 14 hour. Okay, good. That's good.
That's good. I figured it out the other day. That 8x10 had about 90 man hours in it.
Oh, wow.
For $1,200.
Yeah. The customer was right. You needed to charge more.
Or spend less time building it. And so that same 8x10 now has about 18 man hours in it.
Wow, that's a dramatic improvement. Your sheds are, and who is this, by the way? This little baby here. Well, I think it's a full grown, but she's adorable.
Yeah,
what's her name?
This is Luna.
Luna.
And Luna, is she's a Havanese, and we have another Havanese. He's twice her size. But she's
so cute.
She's a little small for the breed, and he's a little big for the breed. But we rescued Luna when she was a year old.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
She had a terrible first year of her life, but since then it's been pretty good.
Yeah. She's a little mascot here at Monroe Shed Depot.
Yeah.
One of the things that we had a customer several years, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, somewhere around there, that had contacted me when we were up in Washington State about a shed. I went out to do the on-site. Well, there was absolutely no way to get a portable building in their backyard. The company I was with did not do on-site builds. And for what they wanted, I said, oh no, you must call Monroe Shed Depot. There's no reason to call anywhere else. You guys built them a beautiful backyard with a beverage location building, also known as a bar shed. It was absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
And those customers, they ended up moving down to Arizona actually and sold their house, but they absolutely raved about your service, everything from start to finish. So I think your business model is fantastic. I love the fact that you kind of just worked your way into this part-time gig into a business.
It's kind of how it worked.
Right.
I never foresaw, it was kind of a hobby and a way to make a little extra money.
Yeah.
And I never saw it as being what it is now.
Yes.
We have our own factory location. We have, and we're still a small business. We're not,
that's all right.
We're not ever going to impede on the monsters of the industry, but we like doing what we do. Our everything is self-contained. I get asked all the time, well, who's going to install your shed? Well, we do.
Right.
We build them,
your
we install
team.
them.
Teams.
And the same goes for, I get calls, because I'm a shed company. I get calls all the time to, can you come move my shed, or can you come repair my shed? And I do bow out of all those things because I know how we built ours, and I know how to fix them or take them apart or do all those things. And let's face it, I could figure it out,
right?
But I don't.
Right, but that's not your business.
Yeah, it's not my business.
Right.
And so but I'm always cordial to those people. I always tell them, these are the people I know that do those things. This is how I would, attack that problem if it were mine. And they're thankful. And I'm, and I don't know. And somebody asked me one time, well, God, why don't you just hang up on them? It's like, well, because they might.
Why don't you just hang up on them?
Well, yeah, because some people don't have very.
Thank you for calling ABC Sheds. Goodbye. Don't use your name when you hang up on them.
Yeah.
Right. But the reason you don't, it should be obvious, but it's not obvious to everybody, is that sometimes the thing that they want isn't possible, right? They're not going to be able to move that shed, or they're not going to be able to repair that shed. And so I want them to think, well, that guy was really nice to me on the phone, gave me a bunch of information.
Yes.
Maybe I'll call him and buy a shed from him.
Absolutely. Or they'll tell their neighbor.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There was just a post up on the Shed Sales Professionals page. I absolutely love that page. There's a lot of great information that goes around, and it was something to the effect of they had done a custom build portable building, and the person bowed out, and the dealer stated, "Well, I'm not going to be able to sell it," which I don't agree with that. There's no building that we ever got on our lot that we couldn't sell, despite our personal opinion of aesthetically how it looked or whatever. But someone made a comment on there about, if you give that person a stellar experience, give them a refund. And again, it was just this person's opinion. Give them a refund, give them a great experience, because they'll tell their friends and family, or not. And they'll tell their friends and family. And that really resonated with me, because they're going to talk about it, whether it's a good experience or bad. So even though you may not be able to help them, it sounds like you're giving people the resource.
Sure.
Yes.
I mean, I just don't, you took the time to pick up a phone and call my phone number.
Yes.
Whether you buy something from me or not, I just have to appreciate the fact that you gave us an opportunity to talk. And
I think it's interesting that you started this business unofficially in 2008, which was really a horrible time for many, many people. In fact, myself, I lost a house during that time. It was a horrible, and I'm not proud of that. It's a shameful time. It is what it is. But you started it then, and that is so interesting. Mm-hmm. So what were your thoughts on when he built this first shed? Were you like, hey, we might be onto something here?
I think when we first talked about it, he had hated the car business for many years, mainly because of the schedule. So he had missed out on a lot of things for our daughter, games, fun things. And I said, now's the time. You've hated this for so long. What do you love to do? And he's so good at visualizing things and creating things. And I'm always impressed by it, because I'm not. I need to see something.
I'm more like you.
Yeah, I need to see it, and then I can tell you if I like it. There's no vision. So I just encouraged him to do something that he would like to do and would be able to control his schedule a little bit more, because she was at the age where wasn't going to be very long and she'd be gone. And obviously we know we don't get those years back. So, but he is correct in that first build. I was like, I don't know if this is the thing for you.
You're creative, but you're slow.
Yeah. Put your tie back on, fella. Go back to work.
That's funny.
But they're beautiful.
They are beautiful.
I just, as the phone started ringing more and more, it's like, gosh, you've really got something, and you've created this vision that you had into a business. And so it's great. Exciting to see it grow.
Absolutely. And you don't have to throw out exact numbers, but I'm assuming you probably do several hundred buildings a year. Where do you do events? I know you do the Evergreen State Fair in Monroe. Yep. Mm-hmm. I did that. We did sell some buildings, but what I found for myself was we would have sold more buildings if we were away from the fair. Now it works for you because your business model. Do you continue to get a lot of sales from those events? Because I think I was reluctant because my time was better spent elsewhere, but yours is a different product.
Yeah.
Yours is totally a different product. You have, I know, because I've seen it. You have a beautiful display every year. Your boots on the ground, you're there. People see it. They love it. Do you continue to get a lot of business through those events?
Yeah, I think for us they work. Yeah, we do get a fair amount of business from them. I mean, the fair has obviously ebbed and flowed in a little bit, with the pandemic and all that. But
wait, what? The pandemic?
Yeah.
Oh, I had almost forgotten about that.
Yeah, I didn't, because honestly, it was a banner time for the shed business. I don't know about everybody's, but for mine, it was boomtown.
We couldn't not sell sheds.
Right. Yeah. But the fairs and the events that and we stay close to home. We do the Evergreen State Fair in Monroe, and then we do some home and garden shows in Snohomish County, and then we do a remodel expo in Seattle.
Very nice.
And most of the reason is that those are the places that we're generally building sheds.
Yes.
And so, so I get asked all the time, well, why come you don't go down to Puyallup? Well, if I went down to Puyallup, all my customers would be in Puyallup.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then I either have to have
Yeah.
guys sitting in a truck all day, driving there, or I have to buy a factory down there, and neither one of those things is something
Right.
I want to do. And but what the fair did for us, and we didn't know it until after we did it, besides the event sales, was that it generated local awareness. We had been building sheds officially for 4 or 5 years, and had not built a single shed in Monroe, other than my mother-in-law's.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
We just had no business in Monroe, Snohomish, Lake Stevens, Bothell, but nothing in Monroe until we were at the fair. And now all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, there's a shed company. And we used to get asked all the time, are you the one out by the real estate places? No, that's not mine.
Oh. Who was that? Did that happen to be the shed gal?
Yeah, that's my friend, the shed gal. And so it gave us some awareness at home.
Yes.
And that awareness has stayed true. And
Yes.
and we've become the shed builder for the fairgrounds themselves. We've built them multiple buildings.
Fantastic.
And we have a great relationship with them. And but it for us, those events are year-round sales, because people will come out to the fair, but they don't order until the following April.
Right.
And that's okay. We like them to continue to call, and so
So
we
it's not
appreciate
like
that.
a one and done. You're getting 50 orders at the fair. It gives you the name recognition throughout the year when they're ready.
Right.
Yeah, right. Because the fair here is the last part of August, early part of September.
Yes.
It's Washington State. We are not going into great weather that time of year. So probably more early spring, they're thinking, hey, it's time to buy
Yeah.
Monroe Shed Depot.
Monroe Shed Depot.
I love that.
And people, last year we had people come specifically to order their shed. Like they waited
I'm not
until the fair.
surprised.
We're
Yeah.
like, you can call.
Right, you can call, but there is a fair special.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Have you been considering adding a line of greenhouses to your brand? At Cold Spring Enterprises, we have the perfect solution for you. By incorporating greenhouse products into your sales location, whether you're a do-it-yourself dealer or a manufacturer supporting multiple shed lots, you can expand your customer base. We offer easy-to-assemble greenhouse kits that will simplify the process of adding greenhouses to your lot. You can choose between two basic styles, an economy style and an A-frame style. We can ship a standard 8x12 greenhouse kit directly to your shed lot or manufacturing location. These kits include all the necessary components for assembly, except for the wainscoting or clear panels, door, and fan. However, we can assist you in connecting with the supplier for these items. Moreover, we also offer negotiable bulk pricing for multiple units. To help you get started, we are pleased to offer an exclusive discount through the Shed Geek podcast. You can receive an 8x12 economy or A-frame style greenhouse, complete with wainscoting or clear panels, a screen door, and fan. The pricing for a complete one-time display unit starts at $2,195 for an economy style and $2,545 for an A-frame style, excluding shipping and tax. For more information and to request bulk unit pricing, please visit www.shedgeek.com/cold-spring-enterprises and fill out your information, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Or simply go to the Shed Geek newsletter and click on the greenhouse picture to fill out your information. Thank you for considering our greenhouse kits. We are excited to work together to bring greenhouse kits to your line of products.
Yeah, and I see your posts. You guys do a great job of marketing. It's that, well, let me ask you this. Do you do a post once every 6 months, or do you tend to regularly post your business?
It depends on, when up until recently, most of our advertising, and I've tried lots of different forms of advertising, but most of the success we had was with Craigslist.
Really? That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, everything we've done.
You have a niche product, though.
Yeah. I mean, it
You
is.
do.
And I tell people all the time that, well, can you do this? Can you build this? Can you use these products? Can you? And I bow out gracefully. I say,
Right.
you know what? Listen, I don't want to be in their lane, and I'm really happy when they stay out of mine.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, you have a niche market. If you start using a different side, I mean, they're beautiful cedar built sheds. If you are like everybody else, you're just like everybody else. So Craigslist, that's really interesting because I literally, and I'm not exaggerating, I have dealers reach out multiple times a week. And I get more pushback when I suggest that they spend $3 for a 30-day post that all you have to do is push a button and pay $3 more to, renew it and offer up than I get on anything else. Do you think from what I see, I think there's less shed companies in general advertising on Craigslist. Do you think that might be part of it, or do you think it's more of a niche market where your customers are looking for a specific thing and that's why they're finding you?
I don't know. And Craigslist is actually not our primary focus right now. So I'll be honest with you, I used to post twice a week. So I'd have a 30-day ad running twice a week. And if I wanted to throttle business back a little bit because we were beyond our capacity,
right,
then I would just not add. And then when I wanted to ramp it back up, I knew it took about 2 weeks and I would get it going again.
Isn't that ebb and flow crazy about what? Yeah.
Our best results now are Facebook Marketplace. I've tried OfferUp and what's the other one? I can't think of it. Anyway, I mean, and so, and we've run magazine ads and we've run newspaper ads. And right before I have a little deal that we do with KRKO, one of the radio stations here in Washington. And so I give them stuff for a program they run. They give me some airtime right before the fair.
That's great.
Which is always fun because Shauna's dad always forgets that
your dad I haven't seen him for years. He's amazing.
He's the best.
So every year he says, "Hey, I heard your radio ad on the radio." And I said, "You did?" He goes,
"One person did." Yeah. More than one heard it. Yeah.
So, that's fun.
That is fun. That is fun. Are your parents still local, Shauna? Wonderful.
Still in the same house.
Oh,
Yep.
okay. So Shauna, Monroe High School, Monroe, Washington, Bearcat. I'm a Bearcat. I'm a little bit older. I graduated with her brother. Mark, where did you grow up?
Downey, California.
Downey. What part of California is that in?
It's right on the border of Orange County and LA County.
Okay. All right.
People may know some of the beach towns like Huntington Beach.
Oh, yes.
Seal Beach, those places.
How did you end up in beautiful Washington?
I am a veteran, and so I served.
Thank you for your service.
Very welcome. I served with a guy who became one of my very best friends who went to Snohomish High School.
All right.
Even though when I knew him and we were roommates, he couldn't hang a picture on a wall without causing damage.
Right.
He became a contractor. And
isn't that interesting?
Yeah, and a good contractor.
Right.
And he built lots of beautiful homes here in the Puget Sound area. And I was looking at that time to get out of the car business, and he was looking for somebody who could help grow his business. And so we decided to see if we could team up. And
how cool!
So I moved up here.
Right.
And one night at a going away party for a friend of Shauna's and a friend of his, I met Shauna.
Aww.
That was 22, 23 years ago.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I Facebook stalk a lot of people, and you're no exception to that. And to watch your story and to watch your relation, it is really cool.
Thank you.
It is very, very cool. And I'll tell you what, these people have the cutest grandson, and I hope we can pop a picture of him in. They have the cutest little grandson that I've ever seen in my life. So we might just he might be famous too, right, on the Shed Geek podcast. So all on-site build. you don't offer rent-own, right?
No.
Okay, so purchasing outright. Are you seeing that more people are financing their shed in this economy, or are you seeing that the people that had money still have money? What are you finding?
For us, because we don't have that rent to own or in-house financing, it is people that have money spend their money. I mean, obviously, we take all forms of credit and credit cards and things like that, and but our customers are just paying for their sheds.
Yeah.
And obviously, the cost of the sheds has increased.
Oh, yeah.
A smidge or two
Yeah.
since the last few years, and so the cost of everything has gone up, and but we still kind of stay steady.
It's fantastic. I think it has a lot to do with the name recognition. Mm-hmm. You guys have done just an absolutely fantastic job of keeping your name out there. People know it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's that's what we tell our guys and our crew that's out there and representing us all the time is that no matter what is frustrating as the day might become, we're gonna still do our best. We are always going to provide, and go the extra mile and give a customer something that they weren't expecting. We're gonna, I guess when I first started, my objective was to not be a contractor.
Yes.
And customers today, they still think we're a construction
That's
company.
why they think you can do anything, right?
Yeah.
Well, and they think, sometimes I get on our invoice, it shows the start date, and I'll get a call, a week and ahead of time, and not always, but every now and then, and the customer will say, well, just checking to see when you're going to install my shed. I said, well, I'm going to install it on the date that's on your invoice.
Right.
Oh, I wasn't sure. I didn't know if that was the actual date or just an about date.
Right.
Nope. That date belongs to you. Unless you change it or the world collapses, we're going to show up on that day. We're going to get there in the morning. We're going to do our thing. We're going to get out of the way, clean up our mess, and leave you be.
Isn't that amazing, though? Do you think it's because they think you're just a regular contractor who happens to be hired to build them a shed, that it may or may not actually happen because
Yeah.
our perception of contractors is different.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
You are one of the few companies I have never once, ever heard a negative word about.
Oh, we
That's
got three.
3?
3.
Oh, it happens. It happens. It does happen.
Well, and you had recently you had a customer who called you and said that they had gotten his name from their neighbor. And Mark was like, oh, who's the neighbor? I'd like to thank him. And she said, well, she actually did not purchase a shed from you, but she regrets that decision. And she really thought that we should use you. So I think that goes back to the conversation of how you treat people, and, and you want that experience to be good and for them to keep coming back. And you never know. I mean, she didn't buy a shed from us, but yet she's referring us.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's very, very telling. Tell me about when COVID happened. I mean, I think all of us were like, what is going to happen?
Right.
I mean, without a doubt, because nobody knew, and it could have been way worse. It wasn't good. It was weird time. It was a very weird time. What happened with your business at COVID, and what did you find? Well, here's an example. I had actually contacted you about buying some cedar to put on the walls of inside my office, and you were like, we can't do it. We're having a hard time. Did sales increase and calls increase dramatically? And then what happened with getting supplies during that time?
Well, what initially happened, obviously, is they sent everybody home.
Yes.
Right? They told everybody go home. And they didn't make us, we kind of glommed on to the construction essential people when that finally happened. But I had to tell my crew and, go home for the next 45 days. And that's how long they were gone. And when we shut down.
That's rough.
When we shut down, we had about 8 weeks worth of backlog. Mm-hmm. And so obviously, you're calling those customers saying, I'm sorry, but we can't get out to give you if you want, I haven't built your shed yet. The ones I hadn't built their shed yet, if you want your deposits back. And they were all no. I mean, people were
understanding.
Really, yeah. And they knew it wasn't something that we were doing to them. We were just as much the victims of it as they were. And But so the guys went home and I told Shauna, I said, listen, we're either going to be bankrupt or the phone's going to ring off the hook until we go back to work.
Yeah.
And about 2 days went by, and all of a sudden, I mean, I was on the phone 12 hours a day. And by the time we got back to work, we were 20 weeks out. I mean, it was
Wow.
It was nervous for me. I mean, 20 weeks out at 5 sheds
Unheard
a week
of,
is,
right?
you're talking about 100 sheds deep. And
Wow. Job security.
yeah, but then it was, you said about the cedar, and it became a little more difficult to find material. And so I had to develop a couple of additional sources. And
Where you probably hadn't needed to do that in the past. You had to get creative, didn't you? Wow.
And our primary source, they really did a good job. They bent over backwards to try and figure out a way to, I'm sure, not just supply me, but supply their other customers. And we've had a great relationship with them over the years. And every time I have a cedar salesman walk in and he says, can we do this? Listen, I'm never going to turn away a source, but I'm not going to walk away from my partners,
Right.
either.
Because they were there for you.
Yeah.
And so we survived. One of the issues with our business model is that we sell a shed today and we install it in 6 to 8 weeks.
Right.
Well, when the price of everything was fluctuating,
Oh, boy.
and drastically going up, we were, I couldn't charge enough today anticipating what material was going to cost in 2 months or 3
Right.
months or whatever it was. And so that was challenging.
I bet that was really challenging.
Yeah, but we made it. We did it.
Yeah. 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 We, I thought it was interesting when, I don't know if it was nationwide or if it was just in Washington State, where they deemed us as essential as a shed company. And I literally was like, what? Why? Now, with that being said, I mean, I'm grateful for that. But I closed down my lots and sent everybody home. In fact, I was fearful of retribution or the social media backlash of, they think they're so important they can be open.
Yeah.
Same thing. My phone was ringing off the hook. It was just absolutely crazy. And my first thought wasn't, it's either going to be bankruptcy or it's going to be great. My first thought is, this is going to put us out of business. And then the phone started ringing and I was like, holy cow. I think it's hard because several dealers that have reached out to me for help they started during COVID and it was booming and it was easy.
Yeah.
I mean, there
Yeah.
was challenges, no doubt, getting materials and different, no doubt about that. But sales were easy, and it's more of a struggle now. How do you alluded to that earlier, the ebb and flows of sales. What do you think, I hope we never go back to COVID or any other disease or illness like it where the same thing happens. There's no doubt about that. And those days of sales are over. But how do you today, in today's economy, just keep on keeping on? I mean, prices have stabilized. Haven't come down a huge amount, I don't think. Prices are never going back to what I got here. And I was like, holy cow, Washington State charges a lot for gas.
Yeah.
It's amazing how my
Yeah,
memory in 2
yeah.
years is like, whoo, everything is more expensive here. But that's with any shed company. Their prices have all gone up. You're not even competing against a portable building company. Number one, you don't have the same product. But how do you maintain that? You keep on keeping on.
Well, those couple of years, so 2020 was what it was, and 2021 and 22.
It was what it was.
Yeah, I mean, 21 and 22. You're right. I mean, it was like shooting fish in a rain barrel. I mean, it was
yeah.
easy going, and we had to hire more people, and unfortunately, you can't. With that much need, we couldn't be as selective as we wanted to with the people we were hiring.
That's challenging.
And then all of a sudden, the really good people that we could get at a fair wage, wanted a lot more, and the people that were, less experienced, didn't have the skills that really the job required, wanted a lot more.
Yeah.
And so it was labor costs were almost as bad, if not worse than lumber cost.
Yeah.
The lumber you can kind of it is what it is, right?
Right.
I mean, you can take that portion of your cost and it's a finite number, but or defined number. But the labor part of it, you're paying per hour.
Yes.
And are you getting this level of work, or are you getting this level of work?
Right.
And you could on the other end of this microphone can't see my hand going up and down, but that's
The
what's
camera
happening.
can.
Oh, there we go. So that was it was like the dog chasing the rabbit at the dog track. I mean, it was a constant foot race.
So in addition to your phone ringing off the hook, then you have more training, trying to source supplies from more places. Mm-hmm. So it was just, we all survived it, but it seems like yesterday, but 20 years ago.
For sure.
Yeah. Very interesting. What all do you do here besides probably run the entire show? Come on, we know how this works, Mark, right? Right? Tell me how you're involved and what's your favorite part of this industry.
Honestly, Mark does the majority of the work. I think the funnest part for me is really just seeing what they create and what they come up with. And like I said before, he's pretty creative. And so sometimes the bar shed that your friends purchased,
yes,
that is something that I had saw online and I showed it to Mark and I was like, hey, could you do something like this? And it was kind of a plastic version of that. And he just came up with that and created it, and it was amazing. And so that's like the fun for me, is to be able to say, hey, what about this idea, or what about this? And he just makes it happen.
So you can bring ideas and you can put it together. My brain, Shauna, works like yours. I cannot even envision things.
No.
And so it would be hard for you to understand how our brain works. And for me, I'm like, I just had this discussion earlier today with someone who just does the most beautiful art. And I'm like, I couldn't do that if my life depended on it.
No.
And she's like, I could not do it. My brain can see it. And I'm like, I wish I had that.
Right.
But that's great. Well, obviously, you're a wonderful partnership. Greetings from the Shed Gal. As I delve deeper into the shed and steel building industries, I am thrilled to establish connections with friends who offer amazing products, such as Wendell Hochstetler, the owner of VersaBend Tube Bender. At VersaBend, they thank you for your interest in their tube bender. The VersaBend is designed to bend 2-inch, 2 1/4 inch, and 2 1/2 inch square tubing, as well as 2 by 3 inch rectangular tubing in either 14 or 12 gauge. Powered by a robust 5 horsepower unit, it features 2 adjustable stops for setting your desired degree or pitch. Priced at just $19,500 and shipped from Abbeville, South Carolina, you can secure your VersaBend with a down payment of only $1,500. Contact them today to check availability and get placed on their order list. VersaBend is a family-owned business dedicated to providing an easy-to-operate bender made with off-the-shelf components. A unique feature of their bender is that it offers a full radius bend, unlike the double crushed bends produced by most other machines. Want to see it in action? Visit their website at www.csecarport.supply or give them a call at 864-446-3645. So how many employees do you have normally? What's your average installers? And
right now we have one install crew, which fluctuates between 2 and 3 people, depending on the size and complexity of the shed. Most of our builds are 2-man builds. So so my 2-man crew can take out a standard 12 by 16 shed and have it fully assembled in about 6.5 hours.
A lot less than that first shed. Yes.
A lot less than that first shed.
They're very efficient.
And 3 times the size. So
wow.
When they get really complex and they have lots of features and stuff like that, then obviously the the time frame can grow a little bit, but I think in 14 plus years we've had 1 3-day build and maybe a half a dozen 2-day builds. Most of the time they're 1.
That is interesting. Do you have any time lapse video of your any build?
I do. It's on our website actually. It's
I've seen your website, and I'm going to have to go look for that because I'd like to put some of that in here.
We had a customer.
It's a great marketing thing too. Hint, hint. By the way,
it's in my Facebook marketplace ads too.
Okay.
It's on each. It's attached to each one of those. So a customer one day, when I very first started, I did the sheds with myself and a friend of mine when he wasn't at his real job, and then I got too busy for him to be able to take days off in the middle of the week to go build sheds, and so I hired a kid. I hired 2 kids. I hired one kid who was going off to do great things, I'm sure, because he was the smartest person I've ever met.
wow.
He was going to Colorado or something to be a applied mathematician.
Oh my, I cannot relate.
But he liked to build things, and so he was a really good builder. And then we hired a 15-year-old kid to work part-time who was in the wood shop at Monroe High School. And unfortunately, Julio is not with us anymore. He tragically died in an accident.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But when he came to work for me, he couldn't read a tape measure, even though he came out of the wood shop.
Oh, Monroe High School. There you go. Here we are, Shauna.
And,
Monroe High School grads.
I taught him how to read a tape measure.
Okay.
Taught him how to do all the things that it was required. Cut
You
straight
saw
lines.
potential.
I did because he was a super hard worker, and he was and he embarrassed me a lot because he was about 5'2", and he could just pick up an 8-foot wall section and walk off the trailer with it. And I used to tell him all the time, you're just embarrassing me because now I have to do that, and I don't want to do that.
I could hurt myself.
I'm 40 years old, man. And he just would look at me, and I was just talking to somebody the other day about him and how him and I got started, and we'd be out on a build, and he'd be on the roof, and he'd be doing the roofing, and I would tend him, and it was funny because some customers thought he was the boss because he would ask for things and I would give it to him, right? And
That's great.
And my job was to tend him and finish the bottom part of the shed, and I always beat him. He was never off that roof. Well, at least in the beginning, he was never off that roof before I had all my parts done and the trailer completely reloaded. And most of the time I'd be sitting on the back of the trailer texting with Shauna, on waiting for him to get off the roof. And one day I'm doing my thing, and all of a sudden I hear his airline unhook. And I'm like, what, did you drop your airline? He goes, nope, I'm done. And I said, you're done? And he goes, yes, I beat you.
Oh, a little friendly competition.
And from then on, it was it was always a competition to see who done first.
I love that.
Yeah.
But
You know what, that kind of just makes me think this is, we sell sheds, but this business is about relationships.
sure.
Yeah.
It really
For
is.
sure.
And over the years, we've, he would have gone on to do really good things, and because we taught him skills and gave him a chance, where he didn't have one before, and a lot of the guys that have come through our door have needed a hand. They've just needed a new chance, and I hope whether they stayed or they're gone, and most of them moved on, but that we've at least help their lives in some way.
You have.
So
And sometimes I think we don't even know it. And you're right. There's a lot of people that need a hand, and there's a lot of people that will not put out a hand to help.
Yeah.
We just aren't those people. And it's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
You never know when you're changing someone's life by just giving them an opportunity.
right. Now, that being said, I've also had kids that quit to go work for McDonald's because they didn't want to work that hard. So
That's not that's reality.
yeah,
though,
it is.
right?
I literally
Right?
had it. He goes, I wasn't put on this earth to work this hard. I'm going to go work at McDonald's.
Now, your daughter was involved, I think, with the business.
Yeah, she worked for
Is
us.
she still involved at all, or is she kind of stepped away doing her own thing?
No, she's
a mama.
Yeah, she's just built her own path, and she's
for her.
she works for a really large construction related company, and she has done great for herself.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Happily
Wonderful.
married.
And your grandson is almost 3, going to
Yep.
be 3 in October.
3 in October, yeah.
And again, if you didn't catch it earlier, he is the cutest little guy you have ever seen.
Yep.
Yeah. He is definitely living his best life from the pictures I've seen on
Yes.
Facebook. He is so cute.
Honestly, my opinion of my childhood is that I got gypped. 'Cause that kid is living. He is living the life of Riley.
I
you.
love it. I think that's great. Would you? There's enough. It's funny. I hear no matter where I am, I hear the market is saturated. You go back to, I've spent a lot of time back east, South Carolina, North Carolina, different areas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas last week. There are shed dealers everywhere.
Everywhere.
Compared to here. In Washington, Arizona is the same thing. It is not saturated. My response is, if you feel like it's saturated, it's just simply because people don't even know you exist yet. But what are your thoughts on, someone maybe looking to get into this industry? Do you have any advice? Run fast. Look into it, because your story, that's why I love doing this. Your story is cool.
Yeah.
The advice I would give him is be customer oriented. It's the oldest trick in the book, right? I mean, what would you do for your mom? And
Well, that depends on the family,
it
right?
depends on the family, but yeah, what would you do for Joan
Yes.
Cleaver, right?
Yeah, that's
Your
there
favorite
you go.
person.
Your
Your
favorite,
favorite, yeah.
person, yes.
Because I think if you treat everybody like that, then you're always going to be successful. But as from a practical standpoint, and I got this advice from a person that Shauna worked with in her industry, was only grow as fast as you need to.
Expand on that a little bit. I love that statement, but I want to hear more about that.
I think what the natural inclination to do is buy more tools, hire more people, more square
More
footage,
marketing,
more
more
marketing,
this,
more.
yeah.
And my philosophy has been, we're going to be going 1,000 miles an hour before we take that next step. And so we've always just grown when we needed to, when there was just no
nice.
way to maintain the level of business that we were doing, because we're just physically not capable of stretching that far. Then it's time to add. And always, for me, to add in the rears instead of anticipating what might be. A lot of businesses is they grow at a rate, and then they can't sustain that growth. They've put themselves in the I guess if you're on a crab boat, it's called the bite, right? Which is the space where the rope might drag you into the water.
Oh boy.
And so.
And
So-
I think quality, like you want to be able to maintain the quality and be able to just sustain what you have without growing too fast, where you lose some of that. And then even in 2020, when it was so busy, you all of a sudden you're 20 weeks out and people aren't happy. They're understanding, but they're getting frustrated because
Yes.
it's taking too long. And so I think that's kind of where you're talking about, like,
So managed growth.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I agree with that, because it is that fine line between needing to do something and not doing too much where you sink the boat.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you look forward to in this industry?
I mean, if I were could wave a magic wand over Monroe Shed Depot, it would be a franchisable business.
Oh.
I
Have you looked into that? Have you thought about that?
thought about it? Haven't really looked into it. I think there's a way for people that are on the fringe of this industry, right? They're contractors, or they're laborers, or they have some building acumen that they could relatively cheaply get into a business with a proven business model and be able to grow as big as they want to be.
That's interesting. Boy, and again, you guys have such a niche market or niche product. It's different. That is so interesting because, I mean, your sheds are beautiful. If you already have the processes in place, why not duplicate it?
Right.
Or someone else can duplicate it. And what you're saying is it wouldn't take millions of dollars to do that.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
we've developed again 4 days in the shop and 90 hours worth of building to build an 8x10 shed. We developed tools.
You're giving people hope.
We developed templates. We developed our processes of how to reduce that time and still maintain that quality.
And at the end of the day, make a profit as well.
At the end of the day, make a profit. Yeah. Even our trailers are specifically designed for us.
So if someone that's interested in the industry reaches out to you, are you open to talking to them if they're interested in learning about it? Or do you see everybody as competition and you don't want to talk to them?
I honestly don't see anybody as competition. And not because I think I'm better than them or anything. But there is no saturation, to be honest with you. I mean, they're building thousands of homes every single month.
Yes, they are.
And until I'm turning away business, until
Right.
I have to turn the close sign on because we're already full up and
Right.
they can't cut down any more trees. There is no
Right.
no end
You're
in
never
sight.
going to run out of
No.
customers. There's not enough lifetimes. And I hear that all the time. And I think it's funny, especially from this part of the country. I'm like, man, you should go spend some time in North and South Carolina if you think we're saturated. No, we're not saturated. Well, there's enough business for everyone is what I think you're saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
and I mean, obviously we talked about this before we went on air, but that we don't live here in Washington. And that was something that was a very difficult decision for us. So we live in Florida, and our intention was to open a Florida-based shed business
okay.
there. But
I
Florida,
did not know that.
Florida made sure that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Florida has these little things called hurricanes, and hurricanes
Yes, they
require
do.
everything that's built or around your house to be engineered, to be
Yes.
strapped down, to have blueprints, to have permits, and it became a very
It wasn't worth the hassle, I would imagine.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
And so we've just kept our focus on Washington, and
Wonderful.
and in the last couple of years, you mentioned the bar shed. We've done some really fun things. We still build mostly sheds that people put their lawnmowers in.
Right.
But we have built a ton of really nice, probably offices, probably, backyard schoolrooms, man
that's
caves. We try not to use the she shed reference
Yeah.
too much, but we've built a few of those. We've built some, tiny houses that are on trailers. And
I did not know that. That's
and we build
unique.
the shells. The people do the rest of it. But that's fun. We've come up with some fun things. We built a barbecue shack last year, and that's done pretty well for us.
I do want to give a shout out to Cheryl from the State Farm commercial because she was a guest on the Shed Depot
was she?
podcast
Yeah.
with Shannon Latham. So
That's fun.
Nothing against She Shed, Cheryl.
No, nothing.
But yeah, it's good. We get these terms that are overused for sure. You mentioned Florida. Why'd you move to Florida, if you don't mind sharing?
Nope, we don't mind. Basically, I was having some health issues here, and it just I ended up going to Mayo Clinic there, and felt a lot better in Florida with all of the salt air, and we live near the beach, so all that it's been really good. We are fortunate that we still have all of our family and friends here, and so
Yes.
we're back. We're back at least once a month,
Yes.
and we're here. in the
They
summer.
travel almost as much as I do. Now that I'm thinking about it, why didn't we do this podcast in Florida?
Right, we should
Better.
Yeah. In
Let's
fact,
do the next one there.
you know what? Let's do that.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
As we're both freezing here.
Yeah, we are. You're in sweatshirts. I'm like, "Ugh." So, how long have you lived in Florida?
8 years.
8 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has it been that long
Yeah.
already? Well, it is really cool. And again, mention that I graduated with one of your brothers.
Yep.
And love Jeff. Please tell him hello for
I
me.
will.
And Shelly
Yep.
as well. you do get to spend an awful lot of time up here with the family,
Yeah.
and I noticed you do family trips. I want to tell you, you're the inspiration that got me to know that I don't have to live where I work. And, I was very successful with my lots in Arizona when I lived in Washington State. And thank you.
You're welcome.
Literally, because you probably never realized that. But it's the same thing with your family trips. 2 years ago, we started these family trips that have, it's been really cool.
They're
and
so
so
fun.
it's one of those things where sometimes people don't say anything, but you make an impact when you don't even know it.
Well, thank you.
Well,
Yeah.
That's fun.
And
that's
now I
awesome.
get to go to Florida because you know what? We can do our podcast from Finn's. They had posted one time, I don't know, several years ago or a few years ago about going to Finn's. I'm like, I've been to Finn's.
Yeah,
What
it's,
beach is that? Flagler Beach?
Flagler Beach.
Yeah.
It's
Great fish and
3 miles
chips.
from our front door.
Oh, yeah.
Is the upper deck at
Oh, I
Friends.
love that.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Love that place. Yeah, it has quite a view too. We'll do a podcast from there.
I like that.
Yeah. So we're going to wrap this up, but I'm going to give you an opportunity if you'd like to ask me a question or two. But first, we're going to do flash questions for you.
Okay.
So, Shauna, you guys take fabulous trips. I want to be part of your family. But what's your next dream vacation?
Well, our next vacation, we're taking Haley and the rest of our family is also going for her 30th birthday to St. Kitts in January.
Where is that? How have I not heard of this probably very fabulous place?
It's in the Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of near Aruba, I believe.
Oh, okay. That's a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
It should be all right.
And if somebody's checking on a map, I'm not 100% positive
Okay.
that it's near Aruba, but I think it is. But it's beautiful. The
Oh, I
pictures
bet.
look amazing, and everybody says it's great.
Oh, fun. Fun.
I think after that, my dream vacation would be the Maldives.
Oh, I want to go on that one too.
Yeah, me too.
Mark, what's your dream car?
My dream car is a Porsche 930.
Oh, that would be nice.
fun.
That would be very nice. Well, I'm going to continue to follow your journey on Facebook. Do you have any questions for me before we wrap this up?
So you're starting your new lot,
So
the mega lot?
Yes, it was going to be a super center, but that name was taken 30 days before we picked it up. That's another story. That's a joke. And we were going to be called Mega Marts, but we're not. We're just going to be Shed Gal. And we'll be opening in Phoenix, our new huge lot in September. So very, very soon. And then we're set to open in South Carolina very soon. And we hope to have multiple lots across the country. So
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, thank
Awesome.
you.
We like watching your growth. too.
Thank you.
fun.
It's pretty fun. Any questions for me?
I mean, where are you off to next?
Where am I off to next? I am actually taping the TV show The Blocks here very, very soon in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So that'll be airing on TV either later this year or early next year. So that's my next trip.
Send us a text when it's gonna be on, so we make sure we can tune in.
Absolutely. You'll all know. I live my life on Facebook. There, you get what you get with me, folks. I'd like to thank Mark and Shauna for joining me, Susan the Shed Gal, on this week's episode of the Shed Geek podcast. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank
Luna,
you.
thank you for behaving yourself there, the adorable little lot dog here. Again, thank you, everyone, for joining in to this week's episode. We will see you soon.
Hey, this is Mo Lunsford in sunny Union Grove, North Carolina, and we want to say thank you to all the guests and listeners.